Clements, and I am a freelance PHP Laravel programmer. So I work on sites that use PHP as a programming language on the back end. If the site is not yet designed, I do recommend using Laravel as a framework, but I work with all PHP sites. Today we're going to take a look at unit testing, and one of the things that I can add to a site that really helps make things more predictable, more secure, and more reliable. So I'm going to start a testing program here called PHP unit, and this program called Synjasis. And inside this folder are the files for this website, which was a client of mine. So this is running several tests. Right now it's running 3,000 iterations of a speed test, and we'll see if that passes or fails in a moment. While we're doing that, let's take a look at the client site. Now, as a PHP developer, I do not generally work on the front ends. There are certain things that I can use to make front ends, like Twitter Bootstrap, but this particular front end was designed by a programmer called Jelly, who I think is out of New York. I, however, do provide the things like the numbers on the page. I can provide the referral system here. This site gets a lot of hackers attacking it, so we instantiated a third-party thing. I can create the referral links. Basically all the data on the page are things that I control. So anyway, the front end here is not what we're looking at, and that's one of the reasons why we're going to take a look at some code today, because when you look at the front end of a site, you're not really looking at my work per se. You're looking at somebody else's. Okay, so here we have the test completed. It took 17 seconds to run. If all of these tests were to be done by a person, it probably would take 3 or 4 days to go through all the different iterations. Now, I've designed this test to fail. Here we're making the assertion that testing that something called auto-wiring is faster without compiling the data first than after. And here we've run 3,000 tests and found that for 3,000 tests without auto-wiring, it's 4 seconds, and with auto-wiring, it's 3.7 seconds. So this is the kind of test that we run every single time we are about to push changes to the server, because we want to be sure that our site is running as fast as possible and that our site has been tested every possible way. And it's much faster to have the computer do that for us than to have a user do that for us. So if we take a look here at an example of a test, this is a user controller test. One of the problems that the client had before I came to it was that users would appear multiple times within the database. So we created a test to verify that there was no user duplication. So we grab the relative components, we create a fake registration, and here we are going to run the controller twice. And what this does here is this simulates the user reloading the page after registering, which is what was causing that duplicate user. So now they're reloading the page twice, and we're going to look for the user number 1 and user number 2 and make sure that the ID in the database is the same. Okay, so if the ID in the database is the same for both of these users, then the database did not duplicate the record. We're going to look at another item for these records and make sure that they are also the same, again assuring us that we're looking at the same row. We also are going to verify that the number of users in the system having the username that we provide here is only 1. We only want 1 of them in the system. There's only 1 record with the provided username in the database. So when we first ran this test, it failed every single time because before I had fixed it, obviously, it was a problem. And so that's how we verified that this test did, in fact, make sure that we were testing the problem. And now this test passed every single time. Every single time this passed. Alright, so let's take a look at test auto wiring faster without compilation. That's going to be in our dependency injection speed tests. Okay. Test auto wiring faster without compilation. This is the test that's here, so we're going to say with compilation. And we're going to switch this, A and B. Auto wiring is not faster, is faster without compilation. With compilation than without. Okay. And when we run this test again, it should now pass. And if this passes, this means that we should turn on compilation on our site in order to save those critical seconds. Now again, we're running this test 3,000 times in order to get this 1 second difference. So we're really talking about microseconds, things that are imperceptible to the user. Test auto wiring faster with compilation. Okay. One of the things I have noticed about this test is that it has a high variance for this dependency injection system, which is why I generally only test it if the variance is over 10%. Maybe what we need to do is make the variance a little bit larger. Let's stop that, run that again. I'm not entirely sure why, but this compilation system, which was developed by a third party, sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's not. But again, we're dealing with microseconds, so it's not something that's really changed the way we handle the site. And that's what it looks like when all tests pass. Let's run this again. And when we run it several times in a row and it passes, we know that the test is defined. So in this, usually what we do is we test things by fixing them. In this case, it was just a speed test. We wanted to know what was faster. And if you notice, when we started, it was faster going one way, and then when we changed it, it was faster going the other. So what we did is we increased the tolerance and said, you know what, we don't really want to compare these two values unless they're more significant in their difference. And now the test passed every time. So, and of course, if we did want to change how we handle that, we could go straight to our dependency injection system and we could turn that on and off right here as just quickly as turning this from false to true. Okay, and so that's one of the things that we do just to make sure that sites that I work on are working tip-top, and that is install and use a testing system that can verify the site performance every single time we make a change. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.